Hello everyone, this is Mutated Nuts, and today we'll be looking at another Hack the Box machine, that is Traceback. Traceback is based on Linux and the difficulty is easy, so let's just get started. Another thing is this box is not actually mentioned in the TJ null list. It's more like a CTF box, but there are few elements which would be actually like a real life thing probably. So let's just see and go along with it. Okay, so first thing is we do have this, I always run an auto recon scan on the target machine. So auto recon is nothing but it's gonna do few nmap scans on the target machine at first and give you a proper enumeration result. So based on the open ports and services found in nmap scan, it's gonna do additional scans on them. So 95% of the time it works really great. At times you have to manually enumerate things further to actually get what you're looking for. Okay, so I always run this on the boxes, like on Hack the Box. So this is a great tool to have. So if you guys are into Hack the Box and you're trying to enumerate things and do things, I think this is a good go. Or you can do a quick TCP nmap scan first and work on it and try to run this on the background, something like that. It does a quick TCP nmap scanner as well, by the way. So I'll be running this as root, so that's why I'll be giving sudo here, because I'm running the box as Kali, not root. And I'll be giving Python 3 in order to run this autorecon.py file. I'll be giving the target IP address, that is 10.10.10.181 in the case of Traceback, and I'll be giving the host switch for output directory where I want to save the scan result. So I did already execute this scan because it takes quite some time to execute. So let's just look at the scan result and we see that we just have two ports open, that is port 22 running SSH, and there's a version number over here. You can check on Searchploit for this, and if you see get any vulnerabilities, but I don't think there are any vulnerabilities for this particular version. So you can go and check it out as well. So we do have this another port, that is port 80 over here running HTTP service as well. We have this Apache HTTP server running over here. We do get something like supported methods, that's it, and we do not have anything else over here. Okay, so we do know obviously the box is Linux, and over here it mentions over here. So what we can do is we can just try and quickly go and look at the port 80 and see if we get anything over there. So port 22 would mostly have like a brute force element or something. I don't want to go that part, so probably, and brute force is not allowed as well, I guess, on Hack the Box now. So we do have this port 22 and port 80. So let's see if we find something on port 80. So let's just go to port 80 over here, and we see that it says this site has been owned. I have left a backdoor for all the free internets, and I think this is the maker of the box. So that's it. There's nothing much over here, and the color changes like from black to white. So let's just go and do a view page source, because there's nothing over here, right? So probably just do a view page source, because this is a custom application, something like that. It's custom page over here. So we do see some comment over here saying that some of the best web shells that you might need. So obviously what you can do is you can just take this. Obviously it's like, it mentions over here that there's a backdoor for you, and over here it mentioned that some comment over here. So you can just take this information and just try to do a Google search for it, and you get a actual web shells GitHub repository. So if you click on this, so this is what's present over here, some of the best web shells that you might need for web hacking, and this is what's present over here as well. So probably that since this is kind of like a CTF box, so this is where it landed up, this web shells repository, and we do have multiple web shells present over here. So we can try and test it out one by one, like after over here, like web shell 1.php or something like that. We can just try to do it manually, or what we can do is we can just try to get the names of these files. You can just do a git clone and get the directory repository or something. I don't want to do that, like I don't want all the web shells in my box. So what I can do is just get this go to file and try to copy this things over here till alpha 3 php. So I can just copy this thing, and I'll just go back over here, exploit directory. I'll just create it, and web shells.txt, just create a file over here with all these names. I'll just format this a bit because there's an additional space over there. Okay, so that's it. So what we'll try to do is we'll just try to run a GoBuster scan or a Derbuster or something like that over here, but I'll just use GoBuster because I often use that and it's on the command line itself. So we can just go to our exploit directory over here, and we do have this web shells present. So if you do cat web shells, so we'll just try to do a quick GoBuster. Obviously, this particular box might have done a GoBuster, like the auto recon it did execute the GoBuster scan over here, and it says only this index HTML. It did find only this thing, but obviously I do run the small txt as well as the medium txt whenever I'm doing the box. So we do have this particular file over here, and what we'll try to do is we'll just try to use it with GoBuster. Just a quick thing, because it mentions over here there's a hint for the web shells, so that's why. So we'll just do GoBuster, we'll give the mode directory, give the URL, use switch for URL, and then the IP address, that is 181, and then we'll give the word list, that is web shells. That's it. So if you do that and run, you can probably save the output if you want, but I don't think I require to save the output. Just hit this and it will get done soon, and it's already done, and it says there's a page which is, you know, giving a status 200. That means it is actually present, and that is this SMEVK PHP. So let's just copy this thing over here, and let's just go over here and check this if this thing actually exists. So we see that this thing is actually present. So sorry, this is like a web shell thing. Obviously it's running on that, you know, web application itself, the PHP web shell. So it's asking for your username and password. Now I do not know that, and I think it looks like that's the username and password of that web page itself. So let's just go over here and click on this, and we do get a username and password over here. So this is a default username password. Let's just see if this thing works, like admin and admin. So let's just try that. So if you do a login over here, we get inside this particular thing, and it looks like we have a web shell over here. If we just do who am I and execute it, it says web admin. And if you do a host name over here, so probably it will give the host name, that is traceback. So obviously we do have like a web shell present, so it's better to actually upgrade this web shell into a proper shell. So let's just go to our home directory first and see we do have this thing present or not. So let's just go there, home directory, and let's just list it out. And if I do LSLA over here, you have to change directory from here, execute from here. Different web shells will have different things to work on, but more or less it's the same functionality what it's doing. So we do have sysadmin over here, but we do not have access because over here it says dash 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 dash, and we do not belong to the, like, we do not belong to this group, I guess. You can just quickly check that as well. We just belong to web admin, CD-ROM, dip, and all these kind of things. So probably I think this would be a bit okay, small in text. So let's just do this again. So this is what it looks like, sysadmin over here, web admin, that's it. So we do have a web admin home directory. Let's just go inside that and see if we get something interesting. So we are inside web admin over here, and there is a node.txt. There is no, what you see, like a user flag or something. So we can try to read this, and there's a SSH directory as well. So what we'll try to do is, if there's an SSH directory and we can SSH into the box, we'll just try to write this authorized file. Let's just see this file. So I do a cat over here, but for some reason it did not display anything. Probably it does not have anything. So if I just do LSLA over here again, yeah, the size is 0, so it does not have anything over here. Okay, so what we'll try to do is we'll just try to write this file actually. So for that you need to actually create a SSH key pair, right? So we'll do that with SSH key gen, and then we'll be giving the type, that is RSA, and then we'll be giving the, you know, the bits, so that is 2048. So let's just create that over here. It's saying enter file. Okay, so I'll just try to paste it into our current working directory itself. So I'll just try to paste it over here. I don't want to enter any password or something, so I'll just hit enter twice because I don't want to add any passphrase over here, and our key is created. Okay, so we do have this thing over here, the IDRSA and IDRSA pub file. So what we need to do is we need to cat this IDRSA pub, or we need to transfer this into this particular, you know, target machine and override this particular file. So what we can do is we can just use wget. I think wget is present, so let's just try using this. And I think if we get an error, it does not mention anything over here. So if we just do which wget, so we do have this user bin wget present. So we do have wget present, because at times wget is not present on the target machine, so you have to use like other methods like nc or something like that. So we do have wget present over here, and we do have this id RSA pub. So what we can do is just try and run a HTTP web page over here. Sorry, web server, not my bad. Python 3 m HTTP server. So I'll just give this Python 3 over here in order to run this HTTP web page. I'll be giving the m switch for the module, and this is the module which we want, http.webserver. And you can just give the port number, or by default, if you just don't give anything, it's gonna run on port 8000. Okay, so next thing is I need to get this file over here. So we can probably get this file in the SSH directory itself directly. So we can just do wget, and we can just have a, this is my IP address, that is a attack machine's IP address, that is my IP address in the VPN connection from HackTheBox. This is the port where I'm running that HTTP server, and I'll be giving id rsa.pub, that is a public key, and also I'll be giving the O switch for output, and I'll just output it to that authorized keys file. Okay, so this is what I can do directly. So let's just try to do that. Our web server is running. So let's just try to do that and see if we get something over here. We do get a get request 200, and we do get this authorized keys. I think it's present over there. I think I did right. So let's just go and look at that. And obviously it's written over here now. We do have this authorized keys written. And if you do a cat against it, so we do have that file present over here. So this is my public key. So we do have this private key, and now try and log into the box using the private key. Okay, so first let's chmod. I think it's already chmod 600. I think it's already 600. ID RSA is already 600. So we can just log in. If it is not, you should always ensure that you can, do a 600 permission so that you do not have any other access to the other groups. So we do have 600 ID RSA. And now we'll try to log in SSH into the box. So if this does not work, obviously you can check the SSH config file as well from this web shell itself, and try to see if there are any deny users or something. Then you'll have to find a workaround to get a shell. But I think this is probably the easiest way to create a key, because this may be helpful later as well. So we'll just look into that. So we do have SSH. We'll give iSwitch to give this ID RSA file, that is a private key, and also we'll log in as web admin, because this is the user which is present over here, right? The web admin user. So we'll be giving that over here, and also we'll be giving 10 and 181. That's the host IP address. So let's just hit enter, and it says we do get a message over here and says welcome to this LAN, and it says last login over here, so and so. Okay, so now what we'll try to do is we'll just try and look and see if we get something interesting over here. So obviously we do have this node.txt. This is the same shell, same privilege as well. We just got a better shell from SSH because we wrote this .ssh directory, that authorized file. So that's how you write and authorized. If there is if our public key isn't present in this authorized keys directory, so it would not let us log in inside that. Obviously it requires a public key present over here in the authorized keys, and then only it's going to let us log in. Okay, so let's just go back over here and manually enumerate things. So obviously when I come into the box first, I can probably check for what OS it is running, and and we do see it's running an 64-bit OS. So this probably would be useful later. So we can just enter something like OS. Just FYI, probably will require it later. So I do this, and obviously I do check for sudo l as well. And if we see over here, we do have something, with no password. So you can execute this below command over here, webadmin, as sysadmin, and without giving any password. And this is the command which we can execute. So this is probably first thing what we can do is we just copy this thing and do an lsla over here and check for the permissions, what permissions we have. It says we cannot access it at all. So probably I don't think we have any permission over here. Let's just try and execute this without any sudo. So it says permission denied. So I don't think we have access to it. So probably we need to use this command itself to have access. So before going to that, we do have this node.txt file present over here. So quickly we'll look at the node.txt file, and let's just go and do a cat with it. and see if we get something. It says sysadmin, so probably this message is addressed to sysadmin. Oh, it is from sysadmin because it's present on the first line itself. Okay, it's a bit confusing, but yeah. So it says I have left a tool to practice Lua. I am sure you know where to find it. Contact me if you have any question. So probably this is like, you know, we can use Lua. If you guys don't know Lua, Lua is like a scripting language, and you can build things from there, like how there is Java or something like that. So that way there is Lua as well over here, another language. So it says it has left a tool. So probably that tool is that, you know, sudo l thing, which was present over here, that LUVIT thing present over here. So probably that's the tool which it's looking for. So what we'll try to do is we'll just try to run it as sudo u and sysadmin over here, and then give this particular, we need to give use switch because we are trying to run commands as another user. If we are trying to run it as root, so we do not have to give this u and sysadmin, we can leave that aside. But since now there is a different user, we have to give the use switch over here. So let's just try to run it, and probably we get something like this over here. So we have to probably exit from this, just press Ctrl C. So it says welcome to LU love it RPL, something like that. So what we can do is we can just try and look for it on Google and see if that we find something. So we do find a GitHub repository over here which is love it, and probably it, if you look into this, it's like, you know, there are multiple, okay, contains love it meta packages. So in short, probably you can run Lua files over here, it looks like. So you can probably execute Lua files. So there are multiple Lua files over here as well, LUA. So what we'll try to, we'll just try and see if we get some execution done. We can, since this is like a binary or something, so we can just try and have a look at GTFO bins and see if we get something over there. So we can just try for love it first. So obviously this thing is not present. So since we can run Lua commands probably using this love it, so we can just try and check for Lua. So this Lua is present over here, and we do get multiple things present. So it says you can have a shell also as well with Lua e os execute bin sh. So this is the first thing which comes over here, and we can just check down as well sudo the same thing, but it's mentioning Lua over here with the e switch, okay, for shell execute. So we can just try and use this particular thing and see if we get a shell as this particular sysadmin user. So, you know, by giving love it instead of Lua, because that's Lua is for probably this part of it, and we can just try and see if this thing works. So let's just copy this, and let's just do sudo u sysadmin. Okay, probably just, okay, run this and then give the e switch, and let's just try to run this. Or let's just try running it without the e switch. I don't think this would work. Okay, and it just gives us some error over here. So we actually have to enter the e switch over here and see if this thing works. So if I do that, we do get a shell over here with bin sh, and if I do who am I over here, we are as sysadmin. So this is one way how you could escalate your privileges to another user, that is sysadmin. So probably we have two users now, that is web admin that is already owned, and then there is sysadmin over here that's owned as well, and now pending is root. So root is like pending, so let's just try and look for that. So since we do have this in one, like this is the easiest way to get this, or what we can do is we can just try to use some, you know, Lua commands over here and see how it works. So what we can do is we can just try to do a file read and see if we can read any files which is present, like, you know, in the system administrator directory. So I'll just close this for now. We'll just come back to our shell, that is the web admin shell, and what we'll try to do is we'll just try to remove this thing and paste this. So I think we'll have to remove the Lua over here, just Lua and the e switch, because that is getting repeated. Okay, so it says local file open. Just don't copy paste and run something, it's not going to work because it says over here file to read. So make sure you change this parameter. So we'll just try to change into a file which is probably present over there in the sysadmin directory, and that sysadmin can only read it. So what we'll try to do is we'll just try and look at that authorized keys file, right, which was present in this web admin directory. So we'll just try to look at that authorized key file. So let's just do home sysadmin and we can try to read that authorized key file. So let's just go to SSH. This is a default directory where the SSH keys are present. So SSH, and then we have authorized keys over here. Authorized keys. So let's just try reading that, and my bad. Let's just try reading this, and if it works, then it's great. Probably we'll get to know if this is actually present. So if you do that, we already have some key present over here which says root and Kali. Probably there's some, probably it was from the creator itself, or probably some other user might have created, but probably there's a SSH key file, sorry, authorized key files present over here. So we can try and override this thing, as in we can add our key as well over here as we added for this web admin. And we can try and SSH into the box using that same key pair. We don't need to create the key pair again, only the the public key. We just have to paste and overwrite or append it into this authorized keys file in this sysadmin directory. Quickly, we can just have a look at the ID RSA as well. That's another thing which we can look at, but unfortunately I don't think there's ID RSA present over there, because if that would be present, we could just take that private key and try to SSH into the box, but I don't think that is present. So let's just move on. We'll just try to write this authorized keys now. So we'll just go to the right directory over here, and we do have this file, right? So we can take this command and execute it. So before that, we can just have create a directory, that is privesc. Just probably add this command over here because it may overlap and override things, because we need to add this private key of us. So just enter the entire command, copy it. You can do it in cherry tree itself, but sometimes the cherry tree, it does this quotes, like it will do a different quote, like, so probably it will give you an error. So let's just try to do this file to write. So a file to write is nothing but home sysadmin and .ssh, and then it is authorized keys. So this is the file which we want to write, and the data should be present over here, whatever data we want to write. This is taken from here, so this is the data what we want to write. So the data I want to write is the public key, that is my public key over here present, so which I have generated just now. So let's just copy this entire thing and let's just try to paste it over here. Before that, we just give us this end thing so that you have a new line. So we'll just give a backward slash and end so that it will actually print it out in a new line. So write it on a new line itself, because if you don't do that, it's going to actually, so this is the file, right, which we did read. So if you don't do the new line, instead of starting from here, the R key, it would actually start from here, and it would be a bit confusing and we would not get SSH login. So let's just try to do that new line, and let's just try to paste. Now I'll paste my public key, which I did find over here, which I generated earlier. So I'll just paste this over here. We do have this file, and we have to run this particular command and see if this thing actually worked. So let's just try to do that and run it. So I pasted the whole command over here. So let's just see if this thing works, and we did not get any error. So most likely it did work, I guess. So let's just try reading the file again, the authorized keys file, using this command earlier which we had executed, right? So let's just try to do that. And okay, authorized keys. And if we see over here now, for some reason, yeah, okay, my bad, I should have actually appended that file instead of writing it. This file over here, we have given the W switch, right? The W is mentioned over here. W means write. So I should have given A over here to append in order to not ruin the box. Maybe, if there is some actual value or something present for this particular user over here. But yeah, in short, we did write it. Now what we'll try to do is we'll just go over here. Okay, so let's just create, go SSH, and then do I give the same ID RSA file, because that's the same key pair, the public key which we have given, right, into the authorized keys of the user sysadmin. So let's just try logging in and see if we get something. So if you do that, we do get an SSH connection over here. It says something failed to connect, something like that, and it says last login and some message present over here. So this message probably would be useful later, but yeah, as of now, I just come into the box. Obviously, if I do who am I over here, we are as sysadmin. We can go to the home directory and we can go to sysadmin over here, and we do have this thing present and the user txt file. So this is, we are sysadmin over here. So we can very well read this particular user txt file. And we do have this love it thing as well. If you all want to go and check out for this more, you can do that. Next thing is, obviously I can check for sudo l over here as well, but it's asking for a password. I do not know a password. I can try to enumerate the box for that, but that's not the way to go. So what we'll try to do is we'll just try and run a linenum scan. So before that, let's just try and locate linenum over here, and let's just get this. I already have this linenum present in my box, so I use it for almost all the boxes, linenum and linpeas. You can use both. You can get it from GitHub, just Google it and probably get it if you all don't know what it is or don't have it in your system. So we do that and it's present. So now it's present in the current working directory where my Python server is running. So I'll just try to get this particular file. So I'll just go to dev SHM directory, and I'll just create a directory called mutated nuts. So I'll just create something like mutated nuts over here just to keep things a bit neat. So we do have mutated nuts. Let's just go over here. My bad. And let's just try using wget and get that particular file. So this is my attack machine's IP address and port, and then I'll give linenum over here .sh. So the file has been transferred. So let's just give chmod before that. If you give 777 on the target machine, that's fine. So let's just do that, and let's just try to run this. So it may take some time to execute. Obviously it says over here we do get this etc password as well, passwd file, and we do have something for cron jobs. We can check and see if there is something interesting over here. I don't think there are any. And as well as over here what is being displayed on the linenum scan, as well as there are timers over here. So first thing, when you do the box, obviously you're going to check for each and everything, right? There's a PHP session clean timer, so probably if there's some cron job present for that, you can check for that as well, but I don't think that's the way to go. So we do have that information. We do get something related over here, the listening TCP ports as well, and also the processes listed down over here. Multiple processes are present. Okay, so we can go and check for multiple things. Okay. So we do have something like read sensitive file. Obviously this shadow file would not be readable, but other files would be readable over here. We can check for some SUID file as well, some SGID file, and see if we find something over here, if there are any writable files or something. But we do not find anything over here. But this was a normal linenum scan which we did execute. Okay, we did not execute any like the thorough scan. So let's just try and execute that first. Okay, so we can do linenum again, and we can do a thorough scan now. So that is giving the T switch. And once you do that, you'll probably get more enumeration results over here. So you can check for this slowly. And if we look over here, it says file not owned by user but writable by group. If you look at this, you get few files over here, that is like your etc update motd files. So what we can do is, there are multiple files over there, five files, and there are like all of them have write access. Since we belong to this group sysadmin, so we can actually write it over here. And we could not write it as probably the user web admin because we belong to the other group then. That means the web admin group, because since now we have escalated to sysadmin, we can probably write over here. So this is a group, by the way, and I believe we are obviously the part of sysadmin. So what we'll do is we'll just try and make a note of this for privesc. Okay, so we do have this update mod motdd, so that is nothing but message of the day. And earlier in one box I think we had seen there was some exploit for motdd earlier, so but that's not exactly what we are looking for here, but let's just see what it is. So quickly, let's just do groups over here, and we obviously belong to sysadmin groups because that's why the linenum show that it's writable by your group. So let's just quickly look at this particular directory over here. So let's just do lsla over here, and we see that there are 5 files present and we have write access to all. So going ahead, we can just check for one more thing. We can just check for any cron jobs which are present. So quickly, I'll just look at, since we already know the OS architecture is 64-bit, so we can just check for PSPY64S. I already had this thing present in my system, so that's why I'll just copy it from that directory, tools directory, to my current working directory, and where this Python HTTP server is running. So I'll just try to transfer that file over here. So we are already over here, so let's just use wget. PSPY64S. And if you guys don't know what PSPY is going to do, PSPY is actually going to check for processes and all this kind of things, going to sniff for processes what are running at the backend, maybe by root or some other user. It's going to do that. If you guys don't know where to get PSPY from, get it from GitHub. There are like 4 versions. There are like 2 S version, that are the small version, and 2 normal versions. I'm using the S one because most of the time it works, but at times if it does not work, then you can use the normal version over here. And since our OS is 64-bit, we have to use the 64-bit ones. Okay, so make sure you'll do that. Don't run the 32-bit. I don't think it's gonna run. So let's just chmod this 777, and let's just do a PSPY over here with 64S, and let's just try to run this. So you can even give a F switch for files and see if you get something. So obviously this is okay, it's a timer of the system, and over here we do see something like, you know, bin sh sleep for 30 seconds, and then bin cp is nothing but your copy all the files from here, all as in, because this hashtag is present, all the files present in this directory to this particular directory over here. Okay, so this is the directory, same directory which we did find over here, right? So this is the same directory over here. We can just remove this dismiss link, and it is actually going to happen now probably. So this is where the actual copy process takes place. First it was actually executed and it told to sleep for 30 seconds, and I think at 30 it's actually executing this copy process over here. It's trying to overwrite it for some way, and obviously these are all the files which it's trying to copy into this. So this is what we can look for over here, and we can see if this is a recurring thing or it just happened once. Okay, so let's just wait another minute and see if we get something. So we get 2 interesting things over here: VAR backups, update MOTD. So till this thing runs, probably we can, okay, so it's running again. If you see over here, this is the time 11. Okay, so this is 11 at 11 minutes over here. It did run, and also at 10 minutes over here. So obviously that 1 second there will be a delay or something, but it is running as UID 0. So it's running as root. So this is what root is doing. Okay, and if you see over here, again the same thing, sleep for 30 seconds and update MOTD, same thing is happening. So probably 31, again the same copy thing. So probably this cron job is running every 1 minute. So every 1 minute it's running. So after after 60 seconds it's running this job over here, trying to copy some files from backup directory, that is this, to this particular directory. So, and we do have write access over here. So if we connect the dots, we do have write access over here, and it's trying to, there's a job present over here. This is actually not a vulnerable job. This thing, cron job, is actually, I think it's meant to overwrite this file if somebody changes this file. So it's trying to overwrite it every 1 minute. So it's trying to do that. So in short, this cron job is not vulnerable. So probably what we can do is we can just check for this directory and files inside if we can get something. So let's just close this thing for now. So we can press Ctrl Z, and we can just quickly have a look at this as well. LSLA, and we do have the same file present over here, which we had seen over here. For now it's the same. Obviously there is no difference at all. So we do have multiple files present over here. We can just try and check this thing and see if we get something over here. MOTD, okay, MOTDD, execute. So let's just try to see, because since we have write permission, we'll just try and see if we can execute something over here. So if we look over here, there are a few things which we can look at, a few links which we can look at and see what this actually means. So we come across this page over here, and it mentions that in order to create a message of the day, like probably when you log into the box using SSH or something, so this is what the message would pop up or something like that. So if you go scroll below, it says that, you know, how to modify MOTD message. So in short, it says that, you know, there can be various scripts which can run from the lowest to highest value, and it can be located within this directory. This is the same directory where we do have write access over here. So we can check for that. And also it mentions that, you know, it's trying to create a custom script. So we could try to do that, but you know, we do not I don't think we have access over here to create a file. So let's just try to do that quickly. My bad. Okay. So let's just try to do a test.txt. So we do not have access over here because probably it belongs to root disk directory. So, and we have sysadmin access, but it's not writable for us. These files are writable though, which are already existing. So these files are writable. We can just try and look for each and every file over here, because as per this, it says that, you know, scripts can be executed from any file present. So you can check this file as well and see if there is anything interesting. So we can just do a quick cat over here, and we do have this file present, and it says bin sh. So probably there's some script running, and it's doing an echo welcome to XH4 land or something like that. So we can look for this help txt as well. If this thing is actually, there's something present, it says print fn, that's it, just a new line. These things are commented out, so they won't be displayed. And also we can check for other scripts over here. MOTD news, probably that's a huge file because the size is huge over here. So probably there's some script running over here which we can probably try to modify and see and run it, but I don't think that is required over here, because we can just try and update that header file probably, or something like that. So let's just do a date over here, and it says obviously the second 23. So now again probably the file would change, and this thing also would change over here, I guess. Yeah, it's already overwritten. Okay. So what we'll try to do is we'll just try and see, since it's mentioning over here, you can modify a message and write some script over here, bin sh and echo and something like that. So what we can do is we can just try and execute some file or something. And since this thing was actually, you know, if you try to log into the box probably, so that's where this message is going to be displayed. So if you look at this header file over here, so if you do a cat header, so if you look at this, it says welcome to XH4 LAN. So this we had seen earlier, right, somewhere. So what we'll try to do is we'll just try and SSH into the box again as the same user itself, just to show how this thing is related. So we can just do IDRSA over here, and we can just do sysadmin 181. Just try to log in. We do get this thing over here, probably this is some different message, and it says welcome to XH4 land. So probably this is the same thing what is happening over here. You can try to verify it and see if this is the actual thing that, you know, it is present. If we change the text and we try to log in, it's gonna work or not. So we can check for that as well. Quickly, we'll just do exit over here. Keep this thing ready. We'll just look at the date, because every 30 seconds, so it will try to modify itself. So what we'll try to do is date again. You can just do a nano over here on this file, that is that 0 header file. You can do a nano, and let's just go below and try to use echo welcome to XH4 land 1 2 3. Let's just do this quickly and see if this thing worked. So over here it does work. So if you did modify that file, it's doing an echo over here. It's not even printing, it's doing an echo. So echo is like a sh. Obviously if you do an echo, so you would get, I hope you guys know what echo is about. So if you do echo who am I, it's not going to actually give me the result of who am I. It's going to actually output this thing, who am I itself. It's not executing any command. So this is what it should actually do. It should, if it was actually printing, but it is actually executing this echo command. So that's why we did modify and did add 1 2 3, right? So what we can do is we can just try and see if we can add some malicious script or something. You can probably add a bin bash line or something like that, or just to be safe, because this thing is you know, every 1 minute it's gonna actually overwrite it. So we can just try and transfer a reverse py file first. So let's just look at this reverse py, and I already have this present reverse py in my system. I have created it, like not by myself, but I just modified few things, created as in there are, like, I just took this from Pentest Monkey web page over there. You can check out for Pentest Monkey page, or you can just check out for Python one line reverse shell, and you'll get multiple things, or you'll get it in Pentest Monkey. I think on GitHub also there is like a one-liner thing script which is present, that is this. You can check for that as well as over here. Okay, so what we'll try to do is I have just modified it a bit, just formatting, that's it, nothing else. I added bin bash over here, so you can probably add sh itself just to be safe. And we can modify the IP address, that is 1412 is my attack machine's IP address, that is my Kali machines. I'll leave the port as I can have 555 or 444. I don't think 444 is in use because we are using SSH everywhere. We do have user bin Python present over here, so quickly we'll just confirm that Python is actually present in the box, otherwise, you know, it will not run. So if you do which Python, it does not display anything. That means Python is not present in the box. But if we do Python 3 over here, it says user bin Python 3 is present. So let's just modify this a bit. User bin Python 3. We have this thing. Only thing you have to modify is the IP address over here and the port and this thing over here. So we have this reverse py file in this exploit directory. We have the HTTP server running. So we'll just try to, you know, transfer that file, the reverse py, into our attack machine over here. And we'll just go to dev shm mutated nuts, and we do have this file present, so sorry, so we can just go and do a quick we could have written to a temp directory itself, because that would be quicker to type in that nano command when you get some time space. Okay, so let's just go to tmp directory. So we are over here in the tmp directory. We can just try and do a wget 10 10 14 12. That's my attack machine's IP address and port, and we can just do reverse.py. So we can do chmod 777 reverse py, so that, you know, obviously root has access to everything, but at times if you do not give execute permission, it does not work. So since we already have this reverse py file now over here, so what we can quickly do is we'll just try to have a small netcat listener over here. So if you guys don't know what netcat is, it's gonna catch that connection which is gonna come from this, and we can do we can give nswitch for numeric IPs only, V for more verbose output, L for listening mode, and P for the port numbers. So we'll just give 4444. I think this is the same thing what we have given over here, and this is what we are listening now. So we'll just try to initiate a connection. We are not doing a priv-esc now, we are not doing a privilege escalation, but we are just trying to confirm that this reverse py would actually work. Because if this does not work as a low level user itself, it's not going to work as a high level user as well. Because we are just trying, this is a normal reverse shell file. So we can just do Python 3 over here, and let's just do reverse.py and see if this thing works. So this thing does work over here. Obviously we'll get the shell as sysadmin itself. We have not done priv-esc. So let's just try to do this thing again. And let's just try, you can just try it running it with tmp reverse py as well, just to be safe. So obviously it's going to run, but we can just do that. We do get a shell over here. So what we can do is, next thing, we have this thing, we actually need to copy this thing into that 00 header file. So let's just go back to the directory that was etc update motd. Okay, this is a directory. So this is where we need to override this header file, I guess. And if you look at the time, like every time that cron job is running, right, which we had seen earlier, and it's trying to overwrite from the backup over here every minute. So if you do a date over here, it's 47. I think it's a good time to do a nano over here. You can use vim as well, but I'm more familiar with nano, so I'll just use that. So we do have this thing present over here at the bottom. After the echo, we can just try and paste the command, that is Python 3 tmp reverse py, and let's just try to save it. File on disk has changed. Yes. Okay, let's just try to close it and try to do this. Okay, my bad. I think I did not write it because header. Okay, this thing is present, so let's just try to SSH into the box. And when you SSH into the box, so obviously the script was executed earlier, right? We did see earlier that this Python file, this echo command was executed, right? Welcome to XH4 LAN. And you know, this thing actually did execute this Python reverse py file. Earlier we did see that thing which was present and printed over here, right? But this thing actually, since it's an sh script, it's going to actually execute this thing over here, which we had written, Python 3 tmp reverse py. That is where our reverse shell file is present, reverse py. And because of that, we do get a shell over here. And obviously we have to confirm if we actually got a root shell, because this SSH thing, whole thing would work as root. Okay, so let's just try and see. If you do who am I over here, it says root. So over here, obviously, if you would have, you know, if you try to enter it, this is a sysadmin shell. But since that backend process of executing this message of the day and with SSH and all this kind of thing, that is actually happening as root user. So that's why this script was actually executed as root. In short, as it mentions over here as well, I don't think it mentions explicitly, but yeah, so in short, there is a script running, right? So probably it would run as root over there. So this is how it actually works. So this message of the day works as root, and probably you can check with PSPY as well. Sorry, PSAUX over here, and you can check for some SSH kind of thing. So in short, obviously that script was executed, right? That message of the day update bin sh thing was executed as root over here. So that's how that message of the day, which is this thing displayed, and which we did modify, that 00-header file, that was actually executed as root. That's why it did run this command and it got executed as root, and it did execute our file as well, Python 3 reverse py, as root over here. So that's why we get a root shell. Okay, so this is how the box is done. It's a simple box. I think the privilege escalation was a bit interesting and not very CTF like, but the first part, I think it was a bit CTF like. That's just my personal opinion. So we can just go to root and we can get this root txt file over here. Okay, so this was the box. That's how we did it. Obviously we had to enumerate, try to find that web shell first, and after getting that, try to upgrade the shell. Then we could have actually used that you know, command to actually get a OS shell using loveit, and which is basically running Lua. So you can get a normal shell, or you can try to write the authorized keys file from sysadmin and upgrade from web admin to sysadmin, and then later on update this 00 header file in MOTD, and which is present in this directory, and try to get it. You can write a bash line as well over the Python 3 one-liner, but I just try to keep it in a file because we'll try to modify it again and again. Just keep it simple to copy paste and everything. We have to do that in that time frame, 1 minute time frame, in order to get this shell. So once you update it, make sure you quickly go and run SSH again as a sysadmin user probably. So you know that message of the day actually triggers over here. So this is what is going to happen, and then it's going to trigger our exploit which we had written over there, and it's going to give us a shell that is a root shell over here. So this was the box. If you guys liked the video, do give a thumbs up. If you all have any queries, drop it in the comments below, and do subscribe for more upcoming videos. Thank you.